As the alien ships darkened the skies above Earth, humanity felt a sense of helplessness. The aliens, with their vast technology and seemingly invincible weapons, believed that Earth would fall quickly. Cities were reduced to ruins in mere hours. The world watched in horror as the invaders destroyed everything in their path, confident that their superior strength would bring humanity to its knees. But what the aliens failed to understand was the power hidden within humanity, a power that wasn't just in their technology or their weapons, but in their resilience. Despite the devastation, despite the overwhelming odds, humans weren't ready to give up. They were fighting for something much greater than their lives. They were fighting for their home, their future, and their very existence. General Sarah Holt watched the alien ships from her command center, her mind racing with possibilities. Earth's defenses had crumbled in the face of the invaders, but that wasn't the whole story. Humans had a way of surprising their enemies, of finding new strength even when they thought there was none left. It wasn't in their weapons, not yet, but in their spirit, in their will to survive, and most importantly, in their ability to adapt. Across the world, scientists, engineers, and regular citizens began working together, pooling their knowledge and skills in secret. They were aware that Earth was losing the war, but they weren't ready to let go of hope. They knew that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't the size of their guns, but their ability to learn, innovate, and fight against the odds. They had watched the alien technology closely and studied it, learning its weaknesses and discovering ways to exploit it. In a hidden lab beneath the ruins of what was once a major city, a team of scientists were working around the clock. They had gathered pieces of alien technology from the wreckage of their ships, studying every component and deciphering their mysterious language. Slowly, they began to make progress. They discovered that the alien ships, despite their advanced capabilities, relied heavily on a specific type of energy source. If that energy was disrupted, the ships would lose their power and fall. This discovery was a turning point. Earth's leaders had been desperate, but now they had a chance, a small window of opportunity. The first plan was simple. They needed to build a device that could neutralize the alien energy source. But this was easier said than done. The alien technology was unlike anything Earth had ever encountered. However, in the face of certain defeat, the ingenuity of humans began to shine. Back in the war zone, the human forces were now fighting a different kind of battle. The alien invaders, once certain of their victory, were starting to see small but significant signs that Earth was not going to roll over and die. In the midst of chaos, a small group of human soldiers had successfully hijacked one of the alien ships. Using their knowledge of the stolen technology, they'd managed to break into the alien fleet's communication network, causing confusion and disrupting their coordination. It was a gamble, but it worked. The aliens, who thought they had total control over the situation, suddenly found themselves struggling to maintain order among their forces. Human ingenuity had done the impossible once again. While Earth's military was outgunned and outnumbered, they had something the aliens didn't: the ability to adapt quickly and think outside the box. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, civilians were taking matters into their own hands. Engineers, scientists, and ordinary citizens began to craft makeshift weapons using scrap metal, alien technology, and whatever they could find. They understood that every little bit helped. Some were building defenses, others were working to create distractions, and some were even designing new technology to disrupt the alien forces. The aliens, however, remained overconfident. They had underestimated humanity's resourcefulness, thinking that Earth would fall to their superior weapons. But what they hadn't counted on was how quickly humans could adapt and innovate in the face of danger. With each passing day, Earth's resistance grew stronger. The pivotal moment came when a team of human engineers finally managed to build a weapon capable of disabling the alien ship's energy cores. The weapon was nothing like the aliens had ever seen before. It wasn't a traditional bomb or missile. It was something far more clever, a disruptor device that used the alien technology against itself. The scientists had cracked the code. and now they had a weapon that could bring down the alien fleet. The countdown began. As the human resistance forces prepared for the final push, the stakes were higher than ever. If the disruptor worked, Earth would have a fighting chance. If it failed, the alien forces would wipe out the last of humanity's defenses. The aliens, sensing a change in the tide, began to grow more aggressive. They tightened their hold on Earth's remaining cities and increased their attacks. But it was too late. The disruptor was ready, and the plan was set in motion. As Earth's forces launched their final assault, the alien ships, once confident in their superiority, were about to experience the true strength of humanity. The aliens thought they had seen everything, but they had never faced the human will to survive. At that moment, the invaders realized that humans were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting to prove something much bigger. They were fighting to show the aliens and the universe that they could not be defeated. The alien invasion of Earth had begun with overwhelming force, and humanity was caught off guard. Cities were razed, governments crumbled, and the invaders' technological superiority seemed unmatchable. For the first time in history, humans felt the weight of their fragility against an enemy that showed no mercy. Yet, even in the face of this dire threat, there was something the aliens hadn't anticipated: humanity's ability to adapt. The first few days were filled with fear and confusion, but soon the alien invaders began to notice something peculiar. Despite the odds, humans weren't folding. They weren't cowering. They were fighting back, and what was more surprising, they were learning. While the alien forces remained overconfident, believing their superior technology would crush Earth without a problem, humans were already on a different path. Behind the scenes, as the world struggled to cope with the invasion, ordinary citizens and brilliant minds were beginning to work together. Scientists, engineers, and even the average civilian who had once never imagined picking up a weapon or building a machine were now united in a single cause: survival. Secretly, in hidden labs and underground bunkers, new technologies were being crafted, often using whatever scraps of alien tech they could recover. Repurposing the invaders' technology, Earth's best minds began to reverse engineer the alien weapons and systems. They discovered weaknesses that the invaders had never noticed, or perhaps underestimated. The alien ships, which were once thought to be invincible, were not impervious after all. The disruptor, a device capable of interfering with the aliens' power sources, was the breakthrough humanity had been waiting for. And yet it was not just the technology that made the humans dangerous. It was their ability to think differently. While the alien forces were busy establishing their dominance, humanity was quietly creating a plan of counterattacks. It was the ingenuity of the human race that began to shift the war in their favor. On the front lines, the human military, though underpowered, adapted quickly. Outgunned and outmanned, they had to get creative. The soldiers no longer relied on brute force alone. They used tactics the aliens couldn't predict: sabotaging supply lines, hijacking alien vehicles, and creating distractions to confuse the invaders. Every small victory, every gain, no matter how minor, fueled the humans' determination. The aliens, meanwhile, were growing overconfident, not realizing the full scope of the human resistance. They thought they had the upper hand, and in their arrogance, they failed to see the danger rising from beneath their noses. They thought they were facing a planet of helpless creatures, not an intelligent species with an unyielding will to survive. As the war dragged on, the alien forces began to notice the shift in momentum, the strange occurrence of more coordinated human attacks and unexpected victories on the battlefield. The humans, while still technologically inferior, had discovered something that made them uniquely formidable: their unity. The combined effort of every person, no matter their role, whether soldier, scientist, or civilian, created a force that the aliens were ill-prepared to face. The alien leaders grew increasingly nervous as they saw signs of a growing resistance they couldn't predict or comprehend. Back in the makeshift war rooms, humanity's leaders began to form a plan of attack that would target the heart of the alien fleet. Their weapon of choice wasn't just another missile or bomb. It was a disruptor, one that could exploit a fatal flaw in the alien technology. The humans had learned that the alien ships were reliant on a very specific energy source, one that was vulnerable to manipulation. The device that had been developed, crafted with ingenuity, and stolen alien tech, was capable of disabling the invaders' ships at their core. It was a risky play, but it was all they had left. It was a last-ditch effort, a desperate but carefully calculated strike that could potentially turn the tide of the war. If the disruptor worked, Earth would have a fighting chance. Meanwhile, alien commanders were becoming increasingly frustrated. Their vast armadas had been nearly unstoppable in the past, and yet, against these humans, things were starting to feel different. Their overconfidence began to crumble. The human resistance was no longer just a nuisance. It was a serious threat. The aliens had thought the battle would be quick and decisive, but they were wrong. Humans weren't giving up, and now they were fighting back with not just weapons, but with brains and unpredictability. The alien invaders had thought they could take Earth without resistance. They thought humanity would break under pressure, but they were wrong. What they didn't know was that humans don't fight just to survive. They fight to protect everything they love. And when their backs are against the wall, they become a force the universe can't ignore. With every victory, humanity grew bolder, more determined. And the aliens, once confident in their power, started to realize just how big a mistake they had made. As the days passed, Earth's chances seemed to improve. Humanity had found a way to strike back, and they were about to make the aliens regret ever underestimating them. The aliens had believed that their technological superiority would crush humanity effortlessly. But as the days wore on, it became increasingly clear that they had made a grave mistake. Every time they struck, the humans adapted. Where there was once fear, there was now resilience. In the darkest hours of the invasion, when all seemed lost, Earth's survivors refused to be broken. It was in this moment of crisis that the humans showed the aliens something they hadn't expected: humanity's ability to learn, to innovate, and to never back down. While the alien forces were equipped with advanced weaponry, sleek ships, and seemingly unbeatable armor, they lacked one critical advantage: the ability to think on their feet in the face of unexpected obstacles. The aliens were used to planets cowering before them, civilizations crumbling under their might. But humans weren't like that. They didn't just survive. They fought back, and they did it in ways the invaders couldn't have predicted. Across the globe, small but significant acts of defiance began to emerge. People from all walks of life, scientists, farmers, soldiers, teachers, and even children, found ways to resist. Some formed underground movements, sabotaging alien equipment and spreading information, while others began to piece together the broken fragments of technology left behind by the invaders. It wasn't much, but it was enough to give Earth's forces a fighting chance. In secret research facilities, the best minds of Earth were working tirelessly, studying the wreckage of alien ships that had been downed in the early battles. They learned fast. They learned how the aliens' weapons worked, how their shields operated, and how their ships were powered. It wasn't just a matter of reversing alien technology. It was about understanding the alien mindset. The more they understood their enemies, the better equipped they were to strike back. By the time the aliens realized that humanity was beginning to catch up, it was almost too late. The human resistance had managed to develop countermeasures, small but effective gadgets capable of disabling the alien weapons just long enough to launch a counterattack. These were not big weapons, but the impact they had on the battlefield was undeniable. Human ingenuity had found a way to exploit even the smallest weaknesses. A successful mission to sabotage an alien supply line led to the destruction of critical resources, and Earth's forces gained a foothold in several key cities. The alien high command could only watch in disbelief as humanity, a species they had once thought primitive and easily wiped out, began to push back. One of the most unexpected developments came from the human military. where soldiers had begun to work differently. They no longer relied solely on brute force or conventional tactics. Instead, they began to use the environment to their advantage, setting traps and ambushes that the aliens could not foresee. The humans began to turn the alien technology against its creators, using their own advanced weapons to sabotage their fleets. These efforts, while small, began to snowball into something far more dangerous for the invaders. What started as a desperate attempt to survive soon turned into a strategic war for control. As human resistance forces attacked alien strongholds, they started gathering intelligence, crucial information about the aliens' command structure and tactics. With this new knowledge, the humans began to devise bolder plans, striking at the alien leadership directly. In the midst of this growing resistance, General Sarah Holt, one of humanity's key leaders, realized something profound. The aliens had underestimated them. While the aliens had focused on brute force and advanced weaponry, they failed to account for what made humanity so unpredictable. The humans didn't just fight to win. They fought because they had something worth protecting: their families, their homes, their very identity. And in doing so, they tapped into a kind of strength that couldn't be measured by technology alone. The humans weren't just surviving, they were learning. The more they'd fought, the more they adapted. They found new ways to disable the alien ships, new ways to break through their defenses. As the battle continued, human forces began to gain ground, seizing alien equipment and tech for their own use. They quickly turned these advancements into tools of their own survival, creating hybrid weapons that combined human and alien technology. While the aliens might have won early battles, they were beginning to realize the terrifying truth: they had underestimated humanity. The humans were no longer cowering in fear. They were now a force to be reckoned with. They had learned how to fight, how to adapt, and most importantly, how to never back down. The true power of humanity was becoming clear, and the aliens were starting to feel the weight of their mistake. As the alien commanders scrambled to regain control, they realized they had one major problem. The humans were not only resilient, they were becoming more dangerous with every passing day. Now, with the alien forces in disarray, and their once unquestioned supremacy beginning to falter, humanity's moment of reckoning had arrived. The final push to reclaim Earth was about to begin, and the aliens would soon learn the hardest lesson of all: never challenge humanity. The tide was slowly turning in favor of humanity. The alien invaders, who had once been so confident in their superiority, now found themselves facing a growing and unexpected threat. Humanity, despite being outgunned and outmanned, had proven time and time again that they could adapt, learn, and fight back in ways their enemies could not anticipate. The alien forces had come to Earth thinking they would wipe out the human race in a matter of days, but instead, they were confronted by something far more difficult to conquer: human resilience. On Earth's war-torn battlefields, the scene had shifted. What had once been a series of desperate, uncoordinated resistance movements had now become something far more organized. Humans, using their resourcefulness and adaptability, were striking at the heart of the alien invasion. They had studied the invaders' technology, learned to repurpose alien weapons, and found ways to exploit weaknesses the aliens had never anticipated. The alien fleet, which had seemed so unstoppable just weeks earlier, was beginning to falter. The human forces, though vastly inferior in terms of sheer firepower, were using guerrilla tactics to great effect. They struck swiftly and without warning, launching surprise attacks on alien supply lines, sabotaging their weapons, and making it nearly impossible for the invaders to hold a steady advantage. The alien commanders were becoming increasingly frustrated. They had expected Earth's forces to be shattered, their will to resist broken. Instead, they were dealing with an enemy that refused to die. The invaders had underestimated the human spirit, and now it was too late. General Holt, leading the charge from the front lines, had become a symbol of humanity's resilience. Her ability to remain calm in the face of chaos had inspired millions to keep fighting, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. She knew that humanity's strength didn't lie in their weapons alone. It was in their unity, their determination, and their refusal to give in. They might not have been able to outmatch the aliens in terms of technology, but they could certainly outthink them. Behind the scenes, human scientists had made groundbreaking discoveries. They had uncovered ways to disrupt the alien power grids that powered their ships, rendering them vulnerable. Alien technology that once seemed invincible had been cracked open, and humanity was now turning it against its creators. The disruptor devices that had been developed in secret were now ready for deployment. And with them, the humans hoped to strike a decisive blow against the alien armada. It wasn't just about retaliation anymore. It was about taking control of their own destiny. But despite these successes, the human forces still had a long road ahead. The alien command was determined to crush the human resistance once and for all. They had already wiped out numerous civilizations across the galaxy, and they were confident that Earth would soon be no different. But they had made one fatal mistake. They had misjudged humanity's capacity to fight back. One fateful evening, as the human forces prepared to launch their most ambitious operation yet, an alien scout ship intercepted a message between Earth's leaders. The aliens, sensing an opportunity to sabotage the humans' efforts, decided to strike first. They launched a surprise attack, hoping to catch the humans off guard. But humanity was no longer as vulnerable as they had been before. Thanks to their earlier successes, they had anticipated this very move. The disruptor devices were already in place, and when the alien ships entered the atmosphere, they found themselves suddenly powerless. The alien commanders, who had thought their weapons would bring them victory, were stunned. Their once mighty fleet was now helpless. Their technology, once thought to be the pinnacle of superiority, had been neutralized. And standing on the battlefield, watching as the alien forces struggled to regain control, the humans knew that their moment of triumph was near. The alien invaders, realizing that they were losing ground, began to make a desperate retreat. But it was too late. The human resistance was relentless, and with each passing hour, their forces grew stronger. General Holt knew that the final strike was coming. Humanity had won the first battle, but the war was far from over. The alien invaders would not go down without a fight, but they had now met an enemy that would not be defeated. As the alien fleet retreated toward their mothership, the humans launched their final offensive. The sky above Earth was filled with the sounds of battleships and fighter jets clashing, but this time, the humans held the upper hand. Their technology, though still in its infancy, had been used with ingenuity and cunning. Their strategic minds had outmaneuvered the invaders at every turn. And then, in the heart of the alien fleet, the final blow was struck. A missile, armed with the latest human-designed disruptor, hit the heart of the alien mothership. The explosion sent shockwaves through the invaders' command center. The alien armada, once thought unstoppable, was now in disarray. The tide of war had shifted. The aliens, with their vast technology and overwhelming forces, had come to Earth with the goal of total conquest. They believed they were gods among mortals, capable of sweeping away any resistance. But they had underestimated one thing: the human will to survive. It was that indomitable spirit that turned the tide of the war, that brought Earth from the brink of destruction to the cusp of victory. In the aftermath of the battle, the humans stood victorious. Their world was scared, and many lives had been lost, but humanity had proven its strength. The aliens, who had once seen themselves as superior beings, had learned a hard lesson: never underestimate humanity. For Earth's greatest strength lay not in its technology or weapons, but in the sheer will of its people to fight for their future. And as Earth's citizens looked toward the sky, they knew that they had won, not just for themselves, but for the generations that would follow. The aliens had learned why you never challenge humans. The invaders may have come to Earth expecting easy victory, but in the end, it was humanity who had written the final chapter of the war. As the alien fleet slowly began to retreat, humanity's victory seemed inevitable. The skies were still filled with the wreckage of alien ships, their once mighty armada reduced to a disorganized mess, and their leaders in disarray. General Holt watched from the command center, her eyes fixed on the screens displaying the chaotic battle unfolding before her. Earth had not only survived, they had fought back and won. But even as victory seemed within their grasp, Holt knew that the battle was far from over. The alien commanders were not going to simply concede defeat. The war might have turned in humanity's favor, but the invaders still had one final card to play. The alien mothership, a massive, imposing structure floating in the upper atmosphere, was retreating from Earth's orbit, taking the last remnants of their fleet with it. But Holt and her team were ready. They weren't going to let them escape. The final strike was imminent, one that would not only seal the fate of the alien invasion, but ensure Earth's future was safe. Humanity's ingenuity and resilience had already proven to be the aliens' greatest undoing, but the final blow needed to be decisive. As the alien mothership fled, a coordinated attack from Earth's fleet was launched. A massive assault, not just by the military, but by every single human who had contributed to this resistance effort. The ship's final defense shields were weakening, and the time had come for humanity to deliver the death blow. Back on Earth, the celebrations had already begun. For the first time in years, cities across the globe began to breathe a collective sigh of relief. The once shattered nations were now united, having weathered the storm together. People gathered in streets, clinging to each other in disbelief. They had won, but the moment of triumph would be short-lived. The battle for Earth had been hard-fought, but the fight was far from over. Humanity had discovered that the aliens had one last weapon hidden within their mothership, a weapon capable of wiping out entire continents in a single strike. The moment the alien ship left Earth's atmosphere, it would launch this weapon and reduce the Earth to nothing more than a pile of rubble. The human resistance had already prepared for this. General Holt's last command was simple: destroy the mothership, now. With a final, coordinated strike from Earth's fleet, the final chapter of this war would be written. The humans were determined to finish this once and for all. As the human forces closed in on the mothership, the alien commanders aboard made one last desperate attempt to activate their weapon. They fired off the first salvo of defense lasers, but Earth's ships, now equipped with alien technology and far more advanced than ever before, countered with precision. It was a battle of survival, a final clash between the unstoppable will of humanity and the pride of an alien species that thought it could wipe out Earth. General Holt's plan had worked. A squadron of fighter jets carrying human-made disruptors launched the final offensive. The disruptors, modified with alien technology, were capable of breaching the alien ship's most heavily guarded systems. As the projectiles struck the mothership's core, the ship began to tremble. The once imposing warship now seemed vulnerable, desperate. The powerful alien weapons that had once dominated the skies were now nothing more than a faint echo. As the mothership's defenses fell, a human missile squadron launched their final, decisive strike. The explosion that followed was cataclysmic. The alien mothership, which had carried the weight of the invasion, was obliterated in an instant. As the fireball expanded into the void of space, the remaining alien forces scattered, retreating in all directions, now leaderless and without purpose. The war was over. The impact on Earth was immediate. The destruction of the mothership not only crippled the invading fleet, but also sent shockwaves across the galaxy. The aliens, who had once believed themselves to be gods, now knew the true power of humanity. They had underestimated the humans and paid the ultimate price. The final moments of the invasion had become a symbol of what Earth had just achieved: victory against all odds. With the destruction of the alien mothership, humanity's future was secured. The surviving alien fleet had no choice but to retreat, knowing that Earth's resistance had shattered their ambitions. General Holt stood before her team, gazing at the stars on the monitor, reflecting on the long journey they had just completed. The human race had faced extinction, and yet they had stood strong and proven that no force, no matter how advanced, could ever truly defeat them. In the days that followed, Earth began the long process of rebuilding. Cities rose from the ashes, families reunited, and the scars of war began to heal. But the lesson of this war would never be forgotten. Humanity had learned that it wasn't just their technology that made them dangerous. It was their resilience, their determination, and their unyielding will to protect everything they held dear. The aliens had learned, too, never challenge humanity. For when the stakes were high and all seemed lost, humanity's greatest strength had proven to be its ability to come together and fight as one. The war was over, but humanity's story had only just begun. The aliens had been defeated, and Earth's greatest victory had been secured. It was a victory not just of arms, but of the very human spirit itself. And as the dust settled and the skies cleared, the message was clear to every species across the stars. Humans could never be defeated. The aftermath of the battle was nothing short of miraculous. Earth's skies, once filled with the smoke and fire of relentless alien ships, had cleared. The war, which had once seemed endless and unwinnable, had ended in humanity's victory. But as the alien armada retreated into the stars, leaving Earth scared but standing, one question lingered in the minds of the survivors. What next? The victory over the alien invaders was not just about winning a war. It was about the sheer determination of the human race. The alien commanders had expected an easy conquest, but humanity had proven them wrong at every turn. General Holt and her team had done what many thought impossible. They had broken the alien threat. Now, with their enemies in retreat, the task of rebuilding began. But it was more complicated than simply picking up the pieces. Across Earth, the celebrations were loud, heartfelt, and emotional. Cities were buzzing with relief, and families that had been torn apart by the invasion were finally reunited. But even in this moment of triumph, the scars of war were still visible. Many parts of the planet remained in ruins, and the loss of life was unimaginable. Countless lives had been sacrificed. Brave soldiers, scientists, civilians, and children who had given everything for their world's survival. Their families would never forget the sacrifices made in the name of freedom. But despite the damage, Earth had come together in a way that had never been seen before. The alien invaders had struck at the very heart of humanity, yet in their effort to destroy, they had unknowingly united the human race. The world had cast aside old divisions and prejudices, joining forces to fight back. Nations that once fought among themselves now stood together in solidarity. The war had shown them what they were capable of when they set aside their differences and fought as one. And as the days passed, a new era began to take shape. The people of Earth, no longer divided by borders or ideologies, now faced the incredible challenge of rebuilding their societies. But it wasn't just about reconstructing buildings and cities. It was about rebuilding trust, hope, and a shared future. People worked side by side, coming together to restore what had been lost. Engineers, farmers, doctors, teachers, and children alike pitched in, proving once again the endless potential of humanity. For the leaders who had steered humanity through the darkest times, there was no time to rest. The war had ended, but the battle to heal the world was just beginning. General Holt, now a legend, stood as a symbol of what humanity could accomplish when unity and resilience became their weapons. She knew that while the alien threat was gone, Earth would forever be changed. No longer would humanity be content to live in the shadow of otherworldly powers. No longer would they bow to anyone. In the months following the final battle, Earth began to rebuild its own defenses. With the knowledge gained from the alien ships they had repurposed and the wreckage of the mothership, human scientists began to develop technologies unlike anything the universe had ever seen. They combined human creativity with the alien technology they had reverse-engineered, creating powerful weapons and shields designed to protect their world from future threats. The galaxy itself began to take notice. Other alien civilizations, once unaware of Earth's existence, now understood that humanity was not a species to be trifled with. News of Earth's victory spread across the stars, and the message was clear. Humans could never be conquered. They had learned to fight, to innovate, to adapt, and most importantly, to survive. The war against the aliens had been a test, and humanity had passed it with flying colors. But there was still a deeper lesson to be learned from the events that had unfolded. The alien invaders, once so sure of their own superiority, had been humbled. Their empire, which had once spanned the stars, had crumbled before the might of a species they had once considered insignificant. The human race had taught them a hard truth. Strength is not just about technology or numbers, but about resolve, unity, and the unbreakable human spirit. As Earth took its first steps into this new age, a time of rebuilding and hope, there was still much work to be done. Humanity's victory against the alien invaders was not the end of the story. It was only the beginning of something greater. A new world was being born, one built on the foundation of what had made them strong in the first place. Humanity's unwavering will to protect, to survive, and to stand united against any threat. And as Earth began to look beyond its atmosphere, they knew this war would not be the last. There were other dangers out there, other species who might come with the same arrogant belief that they could wipe out humanity. But now, Earth had a message for the galaxy. Never again will they underestimate the power of humans. For the alien invaders, their retreat was a sign of defeat. But for humanity, it was the moment they truly realized their place in the universe. No one could challenge them anymore. Not the aliens, not any force, no matter how powerful. Because humanity had proven that, no matter the odds, no matter the enemy, they would always rise again.